Ta-da.
Welcome to the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zorakle Profiles. I'm here with my co-host, community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. So we have a very special guest today, Sofia Bongard. She's the owner of BooXkeeping of San Diego East and part of a growing wave of women stepping into business ownership. As one of BooXkeeping many female franchisees, Sophia represents a shift from traditional accounting roles to true entrepreneurship, where autonomy, flexibility, and financial control take center stage. Originally from Mexico City, Sophia began her journey as BooXkeeping's very first employee. 13 years later, look at her now. She's a successful franchisee, building her own business while inspiring other women to do the same. Welcome to the show, Sophia.
Oh, thank you for having me, Rebecca and Tracy. How are you?
Good, good. Books keeping. It's a mouthful. It's a cute name. It's like the X in the middle there, books keeping. So tell us, how does this young girl from Mexico City grow up and end up as an entrepreneur in San Diego? What does that look like? Where does it begin?
It began as all fairy tales with me falling in love. I have family in San Diego, so I'd visit every summer. And there was a specific summer in college that I came to visit my brother, who was in SDSU at the moment. And one of his roommates happens to be my husband now. So I met at mid-career and we fell in love. And after I finished my degree, I moved here to be with him. And so that's how I ended up in San Diego.
That's so
Love
cute.
men.
It's so cute.
So I started here and it's very different accounting in Mexico than it is in United States. I mean, obviously it is the rules and everything, but there you can be a CPA and a bookkeeper are kind of the same. You can do either. You can be an auditor. It's one degree, and then obviously you have to pass the test. But it's that. And here it's like this many different layers. You can be the CFO and like the all this different, well, CFO, that's different, but you can be all the different levels. And I went through my training to become a CPA here, but then quickly realized I didn't want to relearn all the tax laws and I didn't want to go to school anymore. So I stepped away from that. And then that's when I discovered bookkeeping. I said, well, it's the same thing, kind of. You just don't have to deal with taxes. That's great. And I saw an ad in Craigslist. And when I left Mexico, I had an offer from KPMG, which is one of the big
Yeah.
four. And so my mom, when I told her I was gonna go to someone's house in Poway from a Craigslist ad, she said, "Why did you even move here? Like you gave so much for them." I was like, it's fine." And I remember before I went to their house, there was a really weird sound, like, "Zzz." And Max, the owner of the franchise, is Russian. So I said, yes, this is how they keep the dead bodies with these big fridges. Like, I said, yeah, all of my mom's ideas were like, and then this beautiful Russian woman opens the door and hugs me and says, oh, welcome, right? She's the wife at the time. And so I
Aw.
started, I said, I have nothing to fear. They gave me the key to their house. I'm like, oh, great. They trust me so much. So I started there and I remember so Mac was the one in charge of the advertising, getting more clients, and Elena was the one that was actually doing the work, even though Max is also his background is in accounting. And I remember just hearing her speak to the clients and being, wow, she's so cool. Like just the way she spoke, the way she presented, she was very, very kind, very friendly, but also like, okay, this is business. You're losing money. You need to get your shit together. So I was like, wow, that no, not a lot of people have that duality where you can be forceful with a client, be like, well, not forceful, but tell the truth that need to be told, and also but we can talk about your kids and how they did at school, you know.
Mm.
So I remember that was my first like wow moment. And so I worked for them for a while, and then I had some uh, medical issues, and also I had a baby, so I quit bookkeeping, and that's when I realized I don't want to work 4 tens or 8 hours a day and then bring home stuff. And I started to think, yeah, I love my work, but I want to keep loving it while I do. I don't want to slave
Yeah.
myself and feel like I hate this. So I started working only part-time, and I like that I could, okay, this was nice. Goodbye, work.
Mhm.
And then eventually Max started with the franchises, and he came to me at a food court and said, "Wouldn't it be great if you were my first franchisee? Because
Mhm.
you're my first employee. This would sell like pancakes." I go, "No, Max, no, that's not me. Go away." Um, but then it was a small seed, and I started thinking, well, yeah, why not? Um, and I said, well, I'm gonna start on my own. And I don't know if it was a mental block, but when I started on my own and people would try to Google me, they would find nothing. So they'd be like, okay, great, Sofia Bongard from Nowhere Land. I am not going to hire you. There's that way that you don't like all these things that go, especially accounting, I feel it's so personal. They see everything you do. So it's a weird, you can't just trust anyone. So then I said, okay, Max, I will do it. I will become your franchisee. And he looked at me and said, this is not playing house. Like you have to pay royalties. It's a business. We can be friends, but you will be my franchisee.
Franchisee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, I will do it. That's fine. And so I started, and when I started, it was so much. I've never started a company, and it's all these terms, EIN, and all these things that I was like, oh, this is horrible. And so, and even the marketing, I'm not a person that even this podcast, he got it for me, and I'm not somebody that is savvy enough to do post and be marketable. All I do is my accounting and I'm happy. So the franchise was perfect because he would take care of that. And all I had to do was okay the stuff, or there was some portion that went to me, but also um, it was already taken care of. And then I think this is my fifth year, fourth year, fifth year, and I love it.
You
Well,
know, I like what you said there because um, you knew your strengths, right? And you knew your weaknesses, and you had this admiration for that lovely Russian lady and what she did so well. And so being part of a franchise where Max is doing a lot of the marketing, kind of driving the business, is like a perfect situation for you. We find that folks that have the kind of, I call it technical skills, you have very precise expertise, are not always good at the networking and selling and marketing, but they're brilliant at execution, getting things right, delivering it on time. So this seems like a perfect scenario for you where the franchisor is actually doing the marketing for you.
Yeah, definitely.
So let me ask you a question. This whole idea of going from working with this lovely Russian lady to be an employee to then going into business, is there anything from your childhood, from growing up in Mexico City, that you think gave you a leg up, something that you learned from your parents or from the culture, or something that inspired you that said yes to this, where others may say, oh no, I'm employee material, I'm not franchisee material. Was there anything in your growing up or a belief system that you might have that says, you know what, I think I can do this?
Um, I think yes, definitely. Growing up, I remember thinking whenever I would do something like come home late from a party or some crime that was punishable by my parents. Um, I always thought it's fine. They will forgive me. They will be mad a few days. I will have to deal with the consequences, but they will love me always. So I think not knowing now, thinking about it, that made me, I can do whatever I want. And if it doesn't work out the way I planned on it, then I will deal with the consequences. But there's always a backup plan. I will go back to my family, and my life is not ending because of this. Just like, oh, let's try this clothes. Okay, it fit horrible. I'm not gonna buy it. I think.
I love
Wow.
that. You just gave it a chance.
Yeah, just like, and I learned this other thing from her, from Elena, Emma, that's her name, the Russian lady. I remember she saying, trying, you're not trying. If you do, you're doing. There's no trying. Once you're in action, you're not trying. You're just action. They're like, the trying is maybe in your mind, but once it's in force, then you did it. You did it, and either you didn't like the outcome or you did, but you did it. So,
That was Yoda. Wasn't that Yoda that said that there is no trying? There's
oh,
only
really?
doing? Or who, what movie
Okay.
was that? Was
There's
that
no trying, there's only doing
Karate Kid that said that there's no
I don't know.
something.
It
Yeah.
must have, but I feel like it's true. You just do it. And
true? Yeah, it's definitely true. I think there's another component of that, that you were given unconditional love, that even when you messed up, you knew that wasn't going to change your parents' love for you, and that they had a capacity to course help you course correct, but also of forgiveness. Um, I think that built in a certain level of confidence, because I'm thinking about others that haven't had that level of acceptance, including myself, that if I wasn't perfect, it was the end of the world in many ways. So I think with that kind of upbringing, you become more cautious. I'm not going to do something that I don't think I'm going to do well at because I could make a mistake and I could get in trouble. Would you agree with that sentiment that their unconditional love actually helped build a confidence that you were willing to try something that maybe someone else might not be willing to do?
I think, I mean, there was only one time well, a few times. My dad was, when I was an engineer first. That was my first degree. And then I didn't like it and I wanted to be a teacher. And when I went to my dad and said, I want to be a teacher, this is the school I want to go to, obviously he was going to pay for it. So I needed his okay. Um, he said, no, you can have a degree and this can be a hobby once you have a so there were certain level expectations, but he never said flat out no. It was like, okay, let's work around this, how we can achieve both. It was always that negotiation of get what you want while giving me what I want, which is
Yeah, I'm going to adopt your dad.
he's a therapist. I don't know if you would want
Oh, yeah, I should have
that.
known. I should have known.
Yeah. It was a guinea pig thing in there.
I love it. Love it.
It,
So when you look at your business now, can you see a purpose in it, something that drives you from within as you're helping your clients? Do you see that there's a purpose in helping people with their accounting?
Yes, and when you were telling me about the podcast having that passion part of it, um, I think that's the main force that drives me into this. I've never been driven by money. My intention was never, I want this company to make $10 million at the end of this year. That's not, obviously I want to be paid and I'm not, otherwise I'd be a nonprofit. But
Mhm.
it was never the main thing. I love to see the way the owners, because that's who I deal with mostly, CFOs, CEOs, owners of the company, how they navigate this, because most of them are the professional and the owner of the company. Like if it's a law firm, then they're the actual people that do the work, and both, or it's company for the business family. So I love that business mind where some people are very detail oriented. They fine comb through their financials. Others don't, but they will tell me something is wrong. I cannot tell what, but that can't be right. And so I love to see that. And some people have said, I'm gonna make this a $1 million company and I'm gonna sell it within 5 years. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you and everyone, dude. And then it happened. And so I just it never ceases to amaze me the way people, or even if they fail, like, okay, bankrupt, and the way they are like, okay, now I'm gonna do this other one. Fine, fine. The crazy minds of owners, I love to see that. See what they wanted, the ideas into tangible things. That is my what I love.
That's amazing. So, at BooksKeeping, do you work with a specific industry, or is it just across the board? Do you see one industry as being that what you were just describing as like, yeah, okay, everybody says they want to grow $1 million company, but there are some that like they say it and they do it. Do you see that more so in one type of industry as another?
No, I I've done over, I don't know, 50 industries. I don't have one that I'm good with lawyers just because of the trust accounting. A lot of people seem to not deal with it very well. But I think at this point in my career, the one, um, I don't know, like luxury that I can have
Mhm.
is choose the people that I like. So it's not more an industry. Somebody will refer somebody to me. We'll have a meeting, and I feel like, wow, you're exciting. I want to work for you. Then
Mhm.
I'll take that person as a client. If I'm like, you are too much, like
Yeah.
then, or
Yeah.
if it's maybe like they need a in-house accountant that I cannot provide 40 hours a week for any company, then I will say these are my limitations I cannot do. Or if they need too little, then I'd be like, you would be overpaying me, don't do that. So I think that is the part that is interesting about so it's no industry specific. Then I get to know more about certain industries. I'm like, I didn't want to know this much about
Yeah.
like all
You
the
are so
internal, but yeah.
helpful, Sophia.
Yeah.
I love how real you are.
Yeah.
You're so easy to talk to. What's fascinating is one way or another, we're coming back to this point of freedom
Mhm.
that you have the freedom to choose your clients, you have the freedom to work within your own hours, you have the freedom to choose um, what you're going to charge. There's a lot of freedom in what you are doing. And never mind, you also then have the support that you need. So let me ask you a question. How do you balance? I have all this freedom, but at the same time, I have to have a certain amount of discipline to get these things done. Do you are you able to do both? Because I find when I have too much freedom, I'm like a bird. I'm out of here. You know, come back when it's dinner time. But how do
Yeah.
you discipline yourself to get these things done?
Um, I've always been all or nothing. So if I'm
Mhm.
free, I'm free. Or sometimes I like slave myself like a week or like work, and then like, okay, done. Depending on the time of the year or the time of the month. A normal week for me is I wake up in the morning, I have an 11-year-old daughter. I take her to school, go to yoga, come back around midday, work for a few hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, and then done. And then once she's asleep, if there's a special project or an audit, something that needs to be taken care of, I do it. So it's either like, oh, la, I'm so free, or like, do not speak to me. I will hide in the closet. And
And you live in San Diego. You got to have a certain amount of freedom. I
yeah.
was kind of similar when I was living in San Diego. I would book meetings up to about 1:30, and then there would be this open time in the afternoon. I had to get my sunshine. I had to go for a walk by the beach, and then I could come back and I might work additional time, but there was this is done. I'm going to play for a little bit and I may or may not come back.
Yeah, exactly. Now, whenever I travel, my computer always comes with me. So
Oh,
yes, always, always. Like I might not take the day-to-day stuff, and I tell my clients I'll be gone, but I'll bring my computer. There's always something that is, oh no, I really needed this. And it's fine. So yes, there is freedom, but there's also always the
Yeah.
That's funny. I've been thinking lately, like, is one thing like people have food scarcity issues, but I think now it's like computer scarcity issues, right? Like
Yeah.
technology scarcity. It's a thing, right?
Got to
yeah.
carry it all with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
In our backpacks.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm sorry,
just
go ahead, Tracy.
just real quick, because this has been sitting on my mind for a minute. The first time that you said no to owning a franchise, right? The first time that that they circled around and asked you, and you were like, no, it's not for me. And then you said the second time, they were like, oh, why not? I'm just wondering, what skills did you think you didn't have? Or was it just a time issue or a desire issue? Or was it a particular skill set that in your mind you said, oh, well, to be an entrepreneur, I have to have A, B, and C? Because I'm sure we have people that are listening who maybe thought about franchise or didn't think about it, or maybe one day will be approached. And I'm just wondering what that logic is.
I didn't want to deal with Max, which is the
Work.
franchise
That
owner.
was simple.
For the franchise owner, I've worked with him. I know how he is. I know his expectations. I know everything. So I was like, no. That was my immediate, like, you are the one asking me. It's a no. But then once I thought about it, I said, this is exactly what I want. And people would approach me and say, you can do it on your own. Why do you want to pay royalties on something that you don't need to? Like, you're dumb,
Right.
basically. And I said, because there are many things that I don't want to do that he is doing, and the more money I make, the more money he makes. So you have to pay rent. Do you say, oh, I'm not going to pay rent because I could be making more money? Like, no, there are things that the way you think about it is the way you're gonna take it. So I think it was more my immediate, no, thank you, Max. I do not want what you're offering. But then once I sat down, I said, well, it's actually a good idea. And I know him. I know bookkeeping. I worked with it since the beginning. So it was more instead of instead of having the fear first and then accepting, it was more
Mhm.
like shut it down and then, okay, this is smart. Let's do it.
Yeah, I think sometimes we just have to ponder
Yeah.
something. Uh, you, what's interesting to me is how you recognized the difference. Yes, I could do it myself. However, having Max's support
Yeah.
and having his skill sets that line up with or complementary, I guess, with what you have, makes a whole lot more sense than going and trying to do it on your own. And this is frequently a question many prospective franchisees are asking. Well, I could do it on my own, or I could go with a franchise. And always the franchise will usually win out because of the support, the training, the picking up some of the marketing or whatever it is that the franchisor is offering, technology. So it really is beneficial. Like you said, you're just building it in as an expense, just like you would rent those royalties, right? It's just an expense for you. And it's a really intelligent way to look at it in my mind. So thank you for pointing that out for those that are considering franchising. I wanted to back up a little bit because it sounds like Max and this beautiful Russian lady were mentors to you in some ways, whether they were conscious of it or not. Do you see them as mentors? Do you have other mentors that you go to learn from to help you get better and better at what you're doing?
Definitely. Elena is actually also a coach. So at the beginning, she wasn't a coach and I don't, she's 1 year older than me. So I wouldn't say like a motherly, but almost felt like motherly, like, let me guide you, small child. She never had that power thing where like I'm above you. It was very organic and everything that she would say to me, I'd be like, oh, okay, this is smart. With Max, I don't know if it because he's a man or because he's very methodical, very what you would think an accountant is, he's very like that. And I'm not. I'm like, don't plan anything. So his way of thought helped me a lot, and I would fight it. With Elena was like, "Oh, feed me," and with him was more like fight, fight, fight all the time. But it was always beneficial. He's always made me see that counter, and I think it's the men's side because my husband is the same, very logical um side of like bring you down, quit being crazy, look at the facts. And I'm like, okay, fine. But I fight at first and then I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So I think both of them, yes. My dad is also a big mentor of mine, and my mom more on a personal level. But yes, I think understanding that you always need somebody to give you guidance, or even if you just want to cry and say, "Oh, I'm failing, I die," you need somebody that will either smack you around, say, "No, wake up," or like, "Okay, yeah, this is true what you're saying. Let's see how we can resolve it." I think it's critical to anyone.
I love that you have this team around you, and some people on the team have like a firm hand, and other people on the team have this like an enveloping, is that how you pronounce that word? Enveloping embrace, right? Like bringing you in versus snap out of it, right? Moonstruck.
I think you need both at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think sometimes we need that. One that
yeah.
listens to tears and wipes it away, and another one that says, takes a 2x4 and said, get back out there, and here's how you're going to do it.
Hmm.
Yes.
Right? We got
Hmm.
to have both.
Hmm.
Do you see either now or in the future, Sophia, where you would act as a mentor to others, whether that's your clients or future franchisees, maybe, or women in general? Do you see yourself as a mentor?
As becoming one, or is already having been one?
Either. You may be easing into it, you may be already doing it.
I think yes, because I've done all the jobs in accounting as far as bookkeeping. I think it's easy for me to understand where somebody is having a really hard time not understanding the concept. So since the beginning, I tell them, I'm going to explain things to you. And if you don't get it by the third time, it's not you, it's the person who's explaining it to you is not getting to the way you need to be
Learn. Hmm.
talked. Yeah, some people are visuals and others are more like reading. I mean, different ways of learning. So I think yes, one consciously, and some I think sometimes we say things to people we don't even know make a big impact in their lives. And then later in life you see them or they say something like, "Oh, that thing that you said," and I'm like, "Oh, people pay attention to me, right?" So I think yes, I would love to be. I don't know if a professor in accounting would be one. But I think one-on-one, I love that. I saw what it did for me, and I would love for somebody to have that. Oh, that was a good spark I needed. So yes.
Yeah, I could see you doing that. You're so
Yeah,
approachable.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
safe. I
yeah.
mean, I wouldn't hesitate a millisecond to say, Sophia, I really messed up. You know, can you point me the right direction? I wouldn't in a heartbeat be afraid to come to you because
Yeah.
you are so, I think you get that from your parents. Now that I think about it, that totally acceptance part of you. It's a beautiful part. So, Sophia, we talked about this offline a little bit earlier of that bookkeeping in general, percentage wise, has more women than men. Why? And why would a woman want to consider business ownership, especially in the world of accounting with bookkeeping?
I think women, they're very loyal. I think, I mean, I know men are too, but I feel like you stay with the same client, you learn their ways, you learn how they are, like, okay, he's in a mood, she's in a mood, I'm not gonna like touch this subject right now. Or it's that intuition that goes beyond the numbers where it's like, okay, this is a moment where I can address this. And it's nothing but the numbers. AI can do our job. There's really no very unless it's maybe a few industries or accounts are so complicated that you actually need a higher level of accountant or bookkeeping, but all of them are very easy. It's adding numbers, subtracting numbers, knowing where which bucket to put it, but it's more that approachability of, okay, let's talk about this in a way that you can understand. And also, they will do it. A woman, if they say, like, okay, I'm going to do this, they will spend at night or do whatever they need and they will work around it in their regular lifestyle. And I feel like mothers too, because you're like, you see the, like, you need to rely on something, you see that and you translate it into your work. In accounting, I don't know that there's a lot of fame in the way that if you fuck up, they will know. But if you do everything right, there's no like, wow, you like, there's not, unless you fuck up, they won't know that you were doing great. Very few people, like, there's no fame there. You're just like the low, even some accountants are like, oh, the lowly bookkeeper. So I think it's also that it's what you do, you get paid for it, but there will never be like, bookkeeper of the year or like VP bookkeeper. There's
Rewards around your
Bookkeeper
neck,
of the year. You
podium.
win the Bookkeeper of the Year
Yeah, it's like
awards.
it's like a small computer work that you have. So I think it's that. And I think in any industry, in any position, people see that you've succeeded and they immediately think, oh, how lucky this person is. There's no, yes, there is some luck into it because sometimes the stars align. But there's also a lot of work that they don't see. You have to bust your buns secretly. You're not going to tell that story. You're not going to put your photo at 2 a.m. in the morning after 15 hours. It's, again, it's not fashionable. So any person that you see successful, even if they inherited the company, they had to put in the effort. Doesn't matter. And I see you want to be there, but you don't see what it gets to get on top. So anyone that wants a franchise, even if you buy it, it's not going to sell itself. You have to do the work. You have to show up every day, open, and then be like, oh, I have to put money in from my money sometimes. So it's going to take that. Not no business is going to run itself. Zero business as well. So I think it's that too, that some people franchise are like, oh, it's McDonald's, yay. And no, any franchise, you have to struggle with it and learn how to baby it.
Yeah, yeah.
Sophia, what do you think your superpower is?
I don't know. Um, I don't care. There was one time a cardiologist. I showed up to his office and I accidentally texted him instead of my husband. And I said, I'm here, lover, meaning I had gone to the cardiologist. Now, mind you, I was referred to him by his ex-wife. So it was highly inappropriate. And I was so scared. And I showed up. I said, I'm so sorry, cardiologist person. Please forgive my stupidity. And he looked at it. He's like, Sophia, I don't care what you do. But he didn't mean it in a you're trash type of way. It's more like, do whatever you want. Like, you do you, that's fine. And I think that's been my approach in life. Like, do what you do, and I'll be there accompanying you, and that's fine.
That's so great. That's so great, that story.
Yeah, yeah,
You
it's
do
mortifying.
you.
Yeah.
And it goes right back to that unconditional love, that unconditional acceptance that you received. You're living out in a day-to-day with your clients. They get to be who they are. You're not judging them. You're not, you know, giving measuring sticks that says you shoulda, coulda, woulda. It's okay, here's where we are and here's where we're going, and let's make it happen.
Hmm.
We're going to have to wrap this up. I hate to do this, but I do have one final question for you, Sophia. What legacy are you building? Not just as a business owner, but as a woman leading the way of others. What legacy are you going to be leaving someday?
I don't know. I haven't thought that, but as far as my daughter, I mean, I can imagine if it would go worldwide, but I would start in small in my daughter in my own home. I feel like it's said a lot. You hear, especially as a woman, like as a woman, how were you able to accomplish this? Or as a woman, like you're already being capped when you're asked that because
Yeah.
they're already putting in like oh, like you said, somebody's shocked that you did this.
Yeah.
So I think it's not about women or men or child or adult, whatever it is, it's about humanity. You can do what you want, just do it. Kind of the whole American dream, right? Like you do what you can do and it makes you happy and you do it and you're not harming others. And I don't want my daughter to ever think, oh, because you're a woman, this like no, I think that would be the best teaching I could give her is do what you want. You want to wear shorts with a skirt over and great. Like
And combat boots. That's what I see in my teenager. You know, combat boots with a short skirt and shorts underneath. I'm like, what the heck is that all about?
yeah, so I think that would be my legacy for her.
Yeah, I like that legacy. I like that legacy. It'll be interesting to watch as your daughter gets into her teenage
Yeah.
time as she's herself going, what am I going to do with myself? And you're going, whatever you want to do. I'm here, you know. I'm going to love you. Um,
Without limit, you can do whatever you want.
What's your limit? Right.
Yeah, no, but yes.
I love it. Sophia, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for being so genuine and so real and so easy to talk to. I really appreciate you sharing your heart and even the things that uh, normally we wouldn't hear. Like I was going to say no. Who says no to a fabulous opportunity? But you were honest.
Mhm.
No was my first reaction until I thought about it, and then yes was for sure the right answer. So thank you for being so authentic and transparent. I really appreciate you showing up today.
Thank you for inviting me over, and I hope to see you both in the future.
You
So,
will.
where can people reach you if anybody wants to reach out to you, any of our listeners?
There is a website, BooXkeeping San Diego East. They can go there, and my email would be there, my phone number, and hopefully I only get great calls and no crazy callers.
Books Keeping San Diego East.
BOOXKEEPING.
So it's that X that really sets things apart.
FedEx, Rosia.
And
Yeah.
Tracy, to you for your final words, hon.
Yeah, my mind goes back to our pre-show conversation when you were asking Rebecca how she started this great podcast. And you seemed a little like, maybe I'm reading into it, but maybe like a little hesitant, like, oh, I'm more of a numbers gal. Like I wouldn't really, I'm not on, I don't do Instagram. I don't do this. I don't do that. And meanwhile, like your personally totally lends itself to doing all of that. Like I could picture you having your Instagram and your podcast. And maybe that's what people need to hear is more of a personalized, personal touch and that personality you have and that human warmth connection infused
Mhm.
into this whole like maybe sometimes scary world of bookkeeping and numbers. Just a thought, but you're just so phenomenal and so personable, like Rebecca was mentioning.
Yeah.
I thought,
Yeah. Thanks again, Sophia, and thanks to those that are listening today. Make sure to comment, like, and share this interview. And of course, we'll see you next week on another episode of the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged.